it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and welcome to my studio. We are continuing on with the trunk show. I have a very small stack compared to what I have been showing you of some smaller quilts before we start in on the unfinished tops that are just not turned into quilts yet. So I was doing a swap on an online quilt group where we were doing pastels, and you did this square and a square. Made it similar to like a courthouse steps or log cabin. So you just put something in the center and it was all pastels. And I didn't actually send mine out. I didn't join the swap. I just followed everyone else and made my own because I didn't see the point in sending fabric that I love to someone else when I can just take the fabric I love and make it into a little mini. Now I took all these blocks and they were just sitting for a while when I did that year of 12 finishes in a year within that same quilt group. I went ahead and put this together. Added this fun button row by row type fabric to the back. I used the same as the binding as in the backing. It's a cute little springtime thing. It'd be really sweet in a little baby room. It's got free motion quilting all over. Everything's been washed once. After I make a quilt, I throw it in the wash just to make sure nothing's gonna do a weird dye thing that's gonna bleed everywhere, or all of a sudden like everything's gonna fall apart in the wash. I know many of us have that fear that if you put it in the wash that everything is just going to fall apart. These are some leftover squares that my stepmother gave me from something that she was making. You can see the free motion quilting everywhere, a simple white backing. This is something that she bought when she was like young, like maybe high school age. And of course, you know, stepmother, well, I guess it wouldn't be of course, but my stepmother was older than me. And I did not know about matching up seams. As you can see, I did some really funky kind of stuff. Not all of the squares were cut even, and I didn't even know that maybe I should check that and square it up. I just thought, okay, here's a bundle of squares. I'll just sew them all together, and it is what it is. It wasn't. Now, this backing fabric does not match the front of these little placemats. I love this backing fabric. All of the parrots. Now this I could see myself actually undoing. It doesn't have but a little bit of quilting on it. I could easily see myself taking these apart because what's on the front is just some ducks. Now these are applique down. I found them at a thrift store, and I guess they were meant to be turned into like couch pillows where you just go ahead and put a cover on it or stuff it or whatever. So I had 2 of these. My sister-in-law was really into ducks. I'm pretty sure I sent her 2. I don't know if she also had the parrot fabric on the back, but I thought if it's on the back, who cares? It doesn't need to match the front, right? Right? Yeah. Well, here's some fun colors. That is just the back of it, and on the front, bunch of 4 patches made from, I'd say, looks like 2-inch squares. Nice, fun, scrappy with all of the black in between. I really love the way this one looks. And I actually think that the back looks nice too. So this one matches. The binding is all kinds of scrappy and machine stitched down. Once I learned how to machine stitch down, even though I didn't do a very good job at it, I really ran with it. Now this guy, he has a little blue painter's tape here because this part of the binding is not actually sewn down. When I was sewing it down, I skipped the binding. And this looks like I was stitching it from the back and bringing it to the front. So when I found that issue, I put some blue painter's tape on it, thinking I would go back and maybe hand stitch it down. But here's my love of pinwheels, and look, I did so much better than before with my points. I almost learned everything, not quite perfect, but perfect enough. So this is a fun little Christmas. You can hang it on the wall. I'm pretty sure I thought it was like a table topper. I think this is leftover from a larger quilt. This is more of the Walmart. Nope, this probably is a little Schnibbles maybe. It's a little small one, but I think it might also be a Schnibbles. But it's that Walmart fabric that you can get in the little bundles. Oops, it's got some tape on it also. I think for this one, it's just because probably if I turn it around and show you, it'd be easier to see. The binding is just kind of sticking up there. So I'll put that painter's tape back on. As I said, everything is not perfect, but I have no problem hanging this up. But it's not something I would necessarily think, oh, I should put this in my shop because it's so amazing and awesome. Now this I think is amazing and awesome. Here is a little glimpse at the back of it. This is a table runner that I really enjoyed making, and it's bright. This is something that I would definitely like. I did this in a different online quilting group. I even, let's see, I hand stitched around it with yellow and orange and red and blue. So I really loved making stars. Stars are just so fun. And these aren't anything fancy. These are wonky stars. So it's going to be one of our quilt blocks this year. We'll do wonky stars. Maybe we'll do some stars in June. That way, as we're coming into the July for the US, you might have some stars for the 4th of July. And I think this might have been what we were doing, where other people use more patriotic colors. I just use the things that I love, and I really haven't changed what I love, which is kind of interesting because a lot of times we change things that we're drawn to. I have a desk chair over there that's getting awfully full of quilts. I won this pattern on a blog. So if you look at it, this is a piece of candy where it's twisted in the center. So when I step back, if you can see that, it's got a pinwheel in the center, where I did not lose any of my points, so that's kind of cool. I won this as an actual kit, so the fabrics were sent to me. I used that on the back. Thought that was really fun, and there's a stripe binding. So this was meant to be like on a little side table or something like that, a little small table. I had also decided that, well, maybe I'll make some doll quilts. Maybe some little girls would like some little doll quilts so that they can have just something fun for their baby girls. So I did a bunch of little girl I Spies. This is when I was doing I Spy swaps. I tell you guys, I've been doing a lot of these things for many, many years since, as I mentioned in one of the earlier videos or one of the ones you'll see later, depends on how I upload them. But I started quilting in about 2000 with Simply Quilts. I loved this house fabric, and I tried to put it into a little bit of everything, and now I just have a small amount of scraps left, I believe. There's another little table topper. Just some random scraps that I happen to have. And I actually used, I don't know what this is. It feels like it would be more like a kitchen towel, but I know I had more than like a towel. So this is some type of a fabric that was in a yardage that I had, but I thought for something like this that it would be fine. A bunch of free motion quilting all around it. You can just see how it makes it crinkle up so nicely. And the colors are they're just nice colors. And the last two things I have to show you are these kites. They have their tail, which is actually a green and white polka dot with all of the polka dot fabrics. I learned how to make these in another quilt online group that I was in at the time. This fabric is from Connecting Threads. So there's the back, brown with a bunch of threads stuck to it. Did some free motion on this guy and some squigglies on this one. And you're supposed to hang these up on the wall and then just hang it so that the kite's flying on your kid's bedroom wall, and then they had the little tail hanging down. And I thought these were super fun to make. I know I've made a couple others, I just don't have them anymore, so I think I sent them off to like nieces or someone's grandkids or something. So they were really fun to make. So thanks for hanging out with me in another one of my little quilt trunk shows. I hope you've been enjoying these. Your scrappy word for today will be tail. It's kind of hard to fly a kite without a tail. See you next time. Bye.